All right, so we're going to go ahead and get started. And for Zena, I did make you a co-host, so if you could admit people as I go ahead and kick off. And so Aaron, I might make you a co-host too, just so you all can keep admitting people, if you don't mind.
Okay.
Let me do that. Okay. All right. So we're going to go ahead and get started. Thank you for taking time to be here with us tonight. We do want to cover this important information. Sorzina, if you could advance to the next slide.
Yes, I can.
All right.
Seems my mouse.
All right. So SOARS, back last year, actually in February, throughout the month of February, the sorority held several webinars, and we had about 8 hours of webinars to share some guidelines for how chapters and foundations should be operating together, and really to make sure to give us guidance on making sure that we're compliant with IRS and other federal, state, and local regulations. So the chapter and foundation presidents, vice presidents, and treasurers were all required to attend. And they posted a document at that time, which I did share on our members only site. And then in October, they actually came back with another webinar that we had to attend, and they posted some updated FAQ guidelines after that webinar. So as a result of the information that we learned in February, over the summer, we engaged with an outside tax counsel to get some guidance. Sorry, Dana, can you go back? To get some guidance on, things that we were doing. There were some things that we suspected that we might need to change. And so we did talk with legal counsel, tax counsel on that. Both PTO and PSF were involved in those discussions. And as a result of that, we actually have already made some changes on both the chapter and the foundation side that were necessary, and those have already been implemented. As I mentioned, in October, we got additional guidance from Madam Supreme and an updated FAQ, which I sent out right before the chapter meeting, and we can share that again. And so we're going to hold 2 webinars, at least on this topic, the one today, and then another one on February 7th. So I'm going to go through, what I'm going through right now is going to be the latest FAQ document, which gives us the latest guidance. And what we have done here is really on the left-hand side of the slide, you see, first of all, the question, the frequently asked question, the response that we got from AKA headquarters, corporate, and then from a Pearls of Service and a PTO perspective, how we align with the guidance that they've given us. So SOARS, feel free. I will try to watch for hands raised. If you have questions as we're going through this, we do have a few slides to get through, so we want to get through a few of those. And I know Sora Paulina was going to go through a few of these up front slides. Sora Pal, are you here?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay. All right. So you're going to go ahead and kick us off.
Oh, okay. I thought I was doing the program descriptions.
Okay, let me do this one then. Okay, I'll do it when you get to that. No problem.
Okay.
So SOARS, the first question is, can a chapter collaborate with the foundation to operate its chapter programs? And the answer is yes. Generally, yes. And the caveat is the programs of the chapter and the sorority need to match up with the mission and purpose of the foundation. So in our constitution and bylaws, it says that, a chapter may incorporate with the foundation. We have done that. And the foundation should really work collaboratively with a foundation on its, to serve the community. So the Pearls of Service is a nonprofit organization. It's a 501c3. The chapter is a 501c7. And its vision is to enhance the lives of women and minorities in our community. The purpose, to provide our community with programs for women and minorities in the areas of education, health, family development, stability of the arts, economic development, and leadership development. So those sound all very much like the programs of the chapter. Next slide, Zena. And I think, is it
Okay.
where you taking over, Pal?
Yeah,
Okay.
this is where I come in. Okay, so everyone knows that we get our initiatives or targets from our corporate office, from the international corporate office. And so, you know, we have 5 targets that we're working with, and we have been since 2020. And they will end, these particular ones will end in 2022 in June, and we'll get others. So as you can see how this is color coordinated, and what we have in Pi Tau Omega fits the programming and the mission and vision that they have in the Pearls of Service. So if you look at Target 1, HBCU for Life, a call to action, and it's green. The vision for Pearls of Service, their programs, it falls under the fostering education. And look at target number 2, women's health and wellness. It in turn follows the same suit under health and under family development and stability. So whatever programming that they have over at the Pearls of Service, we can, in essence, ask for grant assistance because we have target 2, women's health care and wellness. Also, look at target 3, building your economic legacy. They also have over in the Pearls of Service, economic leadership and development. So if you look at that, it falls in the same alignment. It doesn't have to be perfect, but their programming is a bigger umbrella and it's very broad, whereas we can, in the Pi Tau Omega, can fit our programs underneath the Pearls of Service if we're asking for funding or if we're doing any sponsorships or partnerships with the Pearls of Service. And target 4, we have, let's see here, the arts. That would fall under the arts. Just so happen to be the same vision. So I just wanted you guys to know that they're closely in alignment with one another. Oh, I'm sorry, I see.
You have a
Soar
hand,
Beverly.
yeah. Soar
Yes.
Beverly, you have a question or comment?
So Beverly Miller.
You're on mute.
Sorry about that.
Go ahead.
I just had a question, and I'm looking at, I can see that we can see the correlation between the Pearls of Service and the chapter in terms of, I'm looking at HBC for Life. So if I make a contribution to HBC for Life, and I remember the last one I made was through the chapter, it was not a tax exempt contribution because it came through the chapter.
Correct.
Is there any way that can be combined with the Pearls of Service Foundation so that that the chapter members can get the tax credit for making contributions, or is it?
No, that's a great question, Soar Beverly, and we're actually going to get to that under some of the benefits of having a foundation, and that what you have just pointed out is a benefit to members that can give. If you do give it on the chapter side, it is not, tax deductible. But what we have to be careful of is that we cannot just solely use the Pearls of Service as a tax shield. So we just have to be careful. That's one of the things that they gave us very clear guidance on. But yes, if it's given on the Pearls of Service side to a 501c3, it is tax deductible.
Yes. Okay. And the long standing, now I know, Sir Carol, you were going to kind of address some of this yourself.
Good evening, Source. As you know, the foundation has always collaborated with PTO and Omega on programs. In particular, the Pink Goes Red and Heart Health. We help collect donations for those programs. We provide funding through our grant process. And we also work with other corporations and individuals to solicit additional funding. And we do that for the Pink Goes Red event and our Heart Health Pink Goes Pink. With the Youth and Family Financial Literacy Conference, this particular collaboration, we not only collaborate with PTO Omega, we collaborate with other AKA Metro chapters and Comerica. And in this case, Comerica provides the donation through the foundation because they support 501c3. And that's how we get that money annually. And we have been doing that for almost 10 years with Comerica. Our longstanding AKA Team Pink and White Scholarship Ball. We started that about 15 years ago. That particular activity, we were able to raise funds for scholarships and educational awards. And we have a lot of community donors as individuals. And this particular item is open to the program. This allows us to give scholarships or educational awards to not only our AKA teams, but it is also open to the public. 2 years ago, we partnered with the chapter on the Juneteenth Jubilee celebration, and we had planned a fundraiser. That program was, the foundation was help solicit additional funding for this particular program. And this one, we were able to raise $16,000 for this particular program.
Okay.
And I think on this particular slide, as you see, all of those, as I mentioned, that we collaborate with the chapter. So we look for opportunities where our mission align with the chapter sorority targets. And this is a list of all the items over the last couple of years. So you can see there's a long list, close to 20 or more partnerships that we have done with the chapter. And the more that we, this way that the foundation is here to help support programs that help the community.
So
One of
Karen,
the ways that we do, excuse
I
me?
was going to ask if you could talk a little bit about the Skillman Foundation grant that we were able to get and how you kind of were able to position the network of volunteers to help with getting that money.
Yes, when we reach out to organizations and solicit for our programs, they want to know, what are we doing? What benefit is the foundation bringing that they could not give that money directly to some other group directly? One of the things that we did was we indicated that we partner with PTO Omega chapter, other AKA chapters, and community supporters to deliver our programs. We were able to get a Skillman grant based on putting together what our collaborations would be, where our resources were coming from, and how we would apply those resources. And we were able to get $2,500 through the Skillman Foundation as a way of doing that. And we also, with the Oakland County and other organizations that we receive donations, one of the big selling points for getting those dollars is that we bring very talented resources like our members of the chapter to these efforts and using them as volunteers to help train our community through the Youth and Family Financial Literacy Conference, all of our health programs. We bring a wealth of talent to our programs, which some organizations don't have. Under any other questions there under program collaborations? So those hours, because we do partner and collaborate together, both the foundation and the chapter benefit from us working together. Our other collaboration is on scholarships and raising funds. And as you know, the foundation has not been able to hold any in-person fundraisers over the last 2 years. And with the pandemic in 2020, we were looking at how can we bring in funds? And we really started to work with businesses and to solicit scholarships. And over the last 2 years, we were able to bring in over $265,000 in scholarships based on funding from other sources outside of the chapter. How we do this as a group, the chapter, we work with members of the foundation who are also members of the chapter to solicit scholarship applicants, and we screen those and select them. We actually share our process with these organizations, and once they see how stellar our scholarship selection and screening process, they are willing to make donations to the scholarship. And that's based on having that network of chapter members to help us with that screening and selection program.
Madam
So
Basilisk,
I
you have a hand raised.
Yep, Sora Crystal.
Good evening, Madam Basilisk. Good evening, Soros. My question is, with PTO and PSF in collaboration, is the collaboration just financial? Is PSF only making a financial contribution to PTO, and that is what's defined as collaboration in this case?
That's a good question. I think it actually expands further than that because, you know, I think the fact that we're all the same, we're the same people, right? So we are members, we are members of the chapter, we are and have the right to be a member of the foundation. So it's also the hands, right, that can do those events. It's the volunteerism on the committees on the side of the Pearls of Service Foundation. So it's not just the PSF giving us money. It's really a mutual relationship. But yes, for the most part, it's funding and it's being able to attract more funding. That's really a key benefit that the foundation can do, because some companies and organizations are going to be willing to donate to a 501c3, but they may not be willing to give money to a 501c7. So it is an asset in that regard that we can attract additional sponsors and donors.
Okay, thank you.
Madam President, the only program that is more, the only fundraiser that we have that is led from the foundation side is the Pink and White Scholarship Ball. The foundation basically look for organizations to collaborate with in order to implement our mission.
Yep, good point. Sora Angela, your hand is raised.
Sorry, I have my phone was ringing. My question is back to that Pearls of Service don't give the chapter money. We request money from them and they pay the bills. So all checks have to go to Pearls of Service. Pearls of Service can never give Alpha Kappa Alpha any money.
That's a great point, Sora Angela. And that is one of the things that we learned. And the good news is, Sora, is that we were already doing that. So we were compliant with that. They were never writing a check directly to the chapter. And so so money can go one way. And they made that very clear. If you guys remember, Sora Pal, they kept saying one way. Money can only go, it can go from a chapter to a foundation. It cannot come back. It cannot do a U-turn. It cannot come back. So they can, if we, align with their mission, our programs, we request the sponsorship through the grant process, then they can sponsor it. But they pay those bills directly to, so say they are, paying for the mammograms in the Bahamas. That money goes directly, it does not come back through the chapter.
Correct.
So thanks for making that point, Sora Angela.
And Sora Aubrey had in the chat, she had asked a question. Is there any thought to create a partnership in the future for HBCU and PSF so that could do the tax write-off in the future?
So great question. I mean, HBCU is clearly a target focus for our current Supreme Basileus. I don't know if it will stay the same with Sora Danette Anthony Reed when she comes in, but that doesn't mean that Pi Tau Omega and the Pearls of Service could not continue some type of contributions to HBCUs. I think we've all learned how important HBCUs are to our community. So that could be something that we continue even beyond the current Supreme's administration.
And 2 years ago, we did collect the HBCU donations and we sent them to the Educational Advancement Foundation and listed all the names of the members who made, we had community donations as well, and listed everyone who donated. So similar to how the chapter did it, we did that a couple of years ago through the foundation.
Yeah, Sora Rhonda, your hand's raised.
Good evening, Madam Basileus and Soros. My question is, and we ran into this problem with HBCU this year, when the money goes to the foundation, they have the control, quote unquote, of the money. So in trying to partner with the foundation, sometimes the committees don't have any say-so in what's going on. And that happened to HBCU this year with some money. So I just need more clarity on this. Are we separate? Are we together? What are we doing?
So I don't know that I know the details of what you're referring to, but can you?
It was from the money from the year before last, when Sora Nancy collected the money for, I think it was for a scholarship or something like that. So in the process of us this year, the money fell on us to do something with it. So when we were trying to make plans, we were told, since that money was on the foundation side, we really didn't have any say-so. It was the foundation who was making all the decisions.
Okay, so I think I do recall that. I think that was with regard to a scholarship, but there were HBCU, I thought, representatives on that scholarship selection committee.
It just so happened to work out that way, but that's just how it went down. Like 2 people were on the committee.
Well, I think those to me are things that we can manage through, right? Because again, they are, we shouldn't be fighting with one another, and I'm not saying that's what it was. But we should be.
No, it wasn't a fight. It was just, it was just chaos.
Yeah. So I think, those are opportunities for us to improve the way we operate
together
and collaborate together. But that's a good point. I have noted that.
And I think we really need to understand that we have the right to be members of the Pros of Service Foundation. And if we are more engaged and active in the Pros of Service, you'll have more clarity and more say-so on what goes on over there. So that to me is showing the value of being a member of the Pros of Service Foundation.
Yeah,
You have say-so.
That's a good point. Okay, so am I picking this back up or are you still on, Soar Pal?
No, I'm on.
Mayor, you're picking it back up.
Okay, thank you. All right. I can't believe, are we only really on the second question? Okay,
We
so can chapters and foundations have similar or identical programs? I think we've talked about this already, Soar. So the corporate's response is yes, assuming the programs again align with the foundation's taxes and purpose. So we have to make sure that the foundation is living up to what its stated purpose is when it was founded, and in the paperwork that was signed when they filed as a foundation, they have to adhere to that. So if we have a program that is about building basketball courts, and that has nothing to do with what the foundation's mission is, then they cannot support that kind of, they can't provide a sponsorship for building basketball courts. So they just have to they have to line up. Okay, number 3, can a chapter run its special days through the foundation? For example, its 50th anniversary. This is an absolute no, because this has nothing to do with their mission. So to celebrate Pi Tau Omega's 35th anniversary this year, that is not aligned with the mission and purpose, as we just saw earlier on the slide, with what the Pros of Service is about. So the chapter has to host its own celebrations like that. All right, next slide. You guys help the hands raised too. I'm trying to keep up with them. For events sponsored or co-sponsored by the foundation, does the foundation need its own insurance? Yes. So the foundation has to have its own insurance, regardless of whether it's sponsoring an activity. So the Pros of Service does have their own insurance policy. So when we collaborate on events, they have their own policy to cover them. We have our policy. We can operate under the corporate policy, and sometimes we have to get an additional rider on the corporate policy, but that only covers us as the chapter. Okay, can chapter members get a tax write-off for assessments paid to the foundation? So this is not a donation, this is an assessment. So the answer to that question is no. And the reason of that is a tax write-off cannot be received if there's a direct benefit to the chapter or a member. So we don't have an assessment, we have our dues, which is in our bylaws. So we do pay dues because it's in our bylaws. And that also, because we are paying those dues, membership dues to the foundation, then we, have a right to be a member and all the privileges of being a member. And we, right now our documents say we are a member of the foundation. So that's a benefit to being a member. So that's why you can't get a tax write-off for an assessment, or in our case, the dues that we pay. Next slide. Okay, if a program jointly is sponsored by the chapter and the foundation, can the foundation underwrite the total cost of the activity? And we talked about this. Generally, yes, they can underwrite a substantial portion of the cost. Again, they're not going to give that money to us. They're going to pay for those. So if we were say we were back in person, and actually the teens did a little hybrid event. They did a community service and held their membership meeting, and those teens that were fully vaccinated and all that stuff attended in person, and the foundation actually paid for the venue that they met at. So they didn't give the money to us, they paid the expense directly to the venue. So they can do that, and we can request sponsorship through the foundation grant process. Okay, does the sorority prefer that chapters not have foundations? So Source, this came up because there was a whole bunch of stuff that they told us in February, and then they kind of reversed on that, and they really did confuse a lot of people early, and they had us running around thinking we had to separate and all this kind of stuff. And then they came back and they softened that up, and they actually corrected some of that and clarified some of that in October. So the sorority, in terms of corporate office, does not really have a preference to whether or not we have a foundation. But if we're, we see the benefits of having one, then we can do that, but we have to do it in accordance with the guidelines. So, that's what Pi Tau Omega did in 1999 when they established the Pearls of Service. Next slide. If the foundation is a separate entity, why were webinars held to tell chapters how to operate foundations? So the chapter is a 501c7. We are a separate entity from the Pearls of Service. It's a 501c3. We have separate bank accounts, SOARs. We have separate meetings. We are not supposed to discuss each other's business in each other's meetings. They can give, the Pearls of Service president can give an information only report to the chapter. And that's only if the BASLA says so, allows it, which we do. We even had to do separate Zoom accounts. So everything that we were pretty much doing everything correctly. I mean, I don't think at the time we had separate Zoom accounts, but then we went ahead and created them. So the reason why the corporate had these webinars is because any foundation that was created by a chapter. So a foundation cannot just run off and do whatever it wants to do when it was created with the purpose of, supplementing or, the efforts of the community service that the chapter was doing. So Madam Supreme made it very, very clear in October that she is the international president and CEO, and everything that's associated with AKA is to be governed by AKA guidelines, even though we're separate entities. So now you'll see, if you read any of the pandemic guidelines, it says when the foundation can meet, foundations can't meet in person, everything. She wants to make it very clear that applies, because the foundations, while separate, are really an extension of, and it's the same way that they have done it with EAF. So that's why they held the webinars. They're separate legal entities, and we have to make sure that we operate that way. And we have to make sure that we are not using them for the exclusive purpose of getting a tax write-off. So again, a foundation cannot disassociate itself from a chapter, and a chapter cannot disassociate itself from a foundation that is started.
All right.
Okay, if AKA programs are operated with the foundations, can they be reported at the end of the year on the end of the year reports? Yes, we can report those programs that were supported by or done in collaboration with the foundation on our end of the year report, and we do that on report number 11. Can chapter members be required to be members of the foundation? What corporate says, the sorority strongly encourages each chapter member also to be a member of its associated foundation, in the same manner that members are also strongly encouraged to be members of EAF. So, however, they're not saying you have to be. Chapters may self-govern and decide for themselves whether members should be required to support the foundation. While the sorority strongly discourages it, if a chapter decides that members are not required to be members of the associated foundation, the chapter should record the decision in the formal chapter vote, which then should be incorporated in their bylaws. So right now, our bylaws say that we are members of the foundation, that we pay membership dues to the foundation. And that's documented in our bylaws. So we're doing it correctly. All right, can a chapter disassociate itself from the foundation it established? The answer is no. The foundation, though the foundation and chapter are two separate and distinct entities, the foundation was created by the chapter, and the chapter does not have the option to disassociate itself from the foundation. Rather, the chapter could vote to dissolve the foundation. And if the chapter votes to dissolve the foundation, the chapter should consult legal counsel to ensure that all IRS regulations are followed. So, you know, I'm not, if we were go down that path, that's going to be a lot of work to do with legal. And I don't think anybody suggests we go down that path. All right, can chapter members or non-AKA members be members of the foundation? Can non-chapter members, I'm sorry. No, it's the sorority's preference that non-sorors not be members of the foundation or serve on the foundation board unless there's a state law that requires it. Okay, next slide, Zena. Can the foundation give money to the chapter? We talked about this already. It says generally no. When we talked to tax council, they were like, absolutely, you should not do that. Foundations are established as 501c3 and can only make contributions to another 501c3. The chapter is a 501c7. And it says only in unique and highly specific circumstances should chapter associated foundation provide or contribute funds to the chapter. And then they made it very clear that the bottom line is it's very risky activity to do that and should only be done with the advice of legal counsel. That's the final sentence in here. Okay, so we don't do that right now. The Pearls of Servants never writes a check to the chapter. All right, can chapter members be assessed money to pay the foundation? Yes, assuming the chapter includes the requirement in its bylaws. So that is currently in our bylaws. Article 3, section 3.3, membership for the dues for the Pearls of Service Foundation shall be included in local dues. And it also, it's the same way that EAF does it, that we do it, and we pay, we collect EAF dues as part of our dues, and then we pay it to corporate. So Linda.
Yes, there's a question.
So Linda, you're on mute.
Thank you. Good evening, Soros. The question that I have is generally the foundation does not pay anything back to the chapter for its programs or whatever. How does the chapter, how will the chapter get money from the foundation to sponsor its programs?
So there's a grant process, there's a document. One of the things that we changed this year is we made that a generic external grant process. So it's not specific to PTO. So that can be used by any other outside requester that wanted something. But do you essentially fill that out? It documents what the program is, how it aligns with the Pearls of Service mission, you know, what aspect of the mission that it aligns with and supports, and how much you need. You have to put together a pro forma budget to say how you're going to use the money and what the benefits are of what you're doing in terms of the impact to the community. And then it gets reviewed and approved. And again, that money in our case would go to pay, you know, another charity or for a venue or for whatever expenses. It would not come to the chapter. In the case of another outside agency or, you know, entity that requested a grant, then that money would again go to, if they're a 501c3, they could give it directly to them to help support their program.
And in addition
Sorry,
to
Jane
that,
has her hands raised.
oh, I'm sorry, I was just going to.
Go ahead, Sir Pal. Go
No,
ahead.
but we do have the actual form, and it's easily accessible on our PTO website so that you can actually download that generic form and request a grant from the Postal Service.
Yep. Sir Jane?
So Mary, I'd just like to comment on the last couple of statements to say that the ops workshop will get more in depth with this process. So please sign up for the 29th. Get more detail.
Look at that commercial.
I know,
Free
that PSA.
advertising.
And Sora Pal is going to get into that detail. And so you'll know all the steps that are needed. Thank you.
And so Rose, that was not planned.
No.
No, it wasn't. I know. I'm like, she used that as a quick commercial.
Absolutely.
All right, Source. How are we doing on time? And
You have 20 minutes and I believe that you're on the last slide of FAQ.
oh, okay, good. All right. Do chapters have to pay rent to use facilities owned by the foundation if chapter funds paid for the facility? So generally, no, we don't have this issue, I guess. Some chapters and foundations do have this, like Alpha Row, because they have the foundation building, which I believe, well, I don't know however they pay for it. But generally, if we did have property, we would have to have kind of a memorandum of understanding between the chapter and the foundation that outlines, how we're going to use it and how we're going to fund it and take care of it and all that stuff. We don't have that since we don't own property and the foundation doesn't own property. But as I said, Alpha Rho Omega does have that, and they, I believe that they charge their members an assessment, like for a building fund, to take care of the building and the upkeep maintenance. I know last year they had to replace the roof. So I'm assuming that help, they have money already available to do that. All right, next.
Oh, sorry.
Question. Oops, next question. Do chapter officers have to be the same as those of the foundation? No, they do not. However, the chapter president, treasurer, and the program chairman, which is our VP, should be members of the foundation board. And that's what we do right now. So Sora Paulina, myself, and Sora Michelle McIntosh are all members of the foundation board. All right. Can scholarships paid by the foundation be awarded to relatives of sorors? Generally, yes, as long as it's a competitive. The scholarship aligns again with the foundation's purpose, and it, which we, they have an education purpose, so we're always going to be able to align with that. And there can be no special consideration given to, so it really kind of has to be a blind, competitive application process. What they don't want us to do, SOARs, is say that I have the Mary Moore scholarship, and the only person that's eligible for the Mary Moore scholarship is Aaron Moore. I cannot do that. Okay, so I cannot take money of mine, get a tax benefit, and then give that money specifically to one individual. You cannot do that. So, Terry.
Good evening, Madam Basilis, and good evening, SORAs. I just wanted to expound on number 16 and the fact that when we sat around and was establishing the foundation, one of the things that the committee thought was very important was to give the chapter Basilis and the treasurer, as well as the program chairman, the opportunity to really focus on running the chapter and not so much focus on running the foundation. And so if you look at some of the things that Madam Basilis has to do, on a daily basis. And then if she had to run a foundation on top of that, it can be very taxing. Although some chapters do it, it can be very taxing on her as well as the rest of the key committee. So we felt at the time that it was important to have a separate officers for the foundation and still work collaboratively with the chapter.
Yeah, thanks, Terry. And I think for the most part in Metro 9, out of the Metro 9 chapters, I think 8 of us have foundations. I think Omega, Xi Omega is the only one that doesn't have a foundation. And for the most part, the chapter president and the foundation president are different. I think there's 2 chapters that are where they're the same. So, okay. All right, next slide. All right. Okay, so we're going to talk a little bit about some of the changes that we made as a result of the corporate guidelines that were given to us. So under the fundraising area, what we decided is that we will also do some fundraisers on the chapter side. And early on in the year, they told us pretty much that we needed to have the chapter should have kind of its own fundraisers. And then they kind of went back and forth and said it's okay to collaborate. So either way, we can have our own separate fundraisers. We can collaborate with the Pearls of Service on fundraisers. Either way, the last time they came back, this last bullet you see under both sides, all fundraisers, whether they are the chapter only, a collaboration, or the foundation by itself, must be approved by AKA corporate office. And there's a form that we have to fill out for that. Chapter activities are covered by AKA unless they collaborate with another organization. Foundations must have its own liability insurance. We talked about that earlier. Joint fundraisers that require the chapter to purchase its own event liability insurance or add a rider to the foundation's policy. So in some cases, we may have to, if we're having an event in the winter and it could be slick outside and, someone falls, corporate does not want, they want them to come after us first. And who are they going to go after? They're going to go after Stony Island Avenue that has much deeper pockets. So that's why we have to add a rider, or the foundation has to have its own liability insurance as well. So was there anything else I should add on that, Sor Carol or Sor Pal?
No, I believe you covered it.
Okay. Under the program side, so one of the things that became pretty clear early on was that the chapter needed to have a diversified funding, I'll say that. So if it looks like we are only going to the foundation to fund all of our programs, then it might start looking like we're kind of using them as a tax shield. So to avoid that risk or that appearance, it's better for the chapter to have a program budget on its own side. And so that is why, as you guys now know, we have an operations budget and we have a program budget. And so we can fund programs from the chapter side, and we can also request grants and sponsorship from the foundation. So as we talked about earlier, if you donate or you donate or anybody donates, a corporate sponsors gives us money on the chapter side, it is not tax deductible. And we have gotten money on that side. So for example, Ascension gave us $2,000 this year for Pink Goes Pink. But Ascension also gives money to the foundation. And when they give it to the foundation, they can get a tax write-off. So that's how we changed some of that. Again, we talked about as long as the programs align with the mission of the Pearls of Service, they can support our programs. We changed the grant process again to make sure that it was an external granted. It wasn't just specific to PTO. Program donations on the foundation side are tax deductible. So we talked about, I think, most of that on that side. And then in terms of scholarships, we didn't really make any changes, or there were no guidance that made us change anything on the chapter side. We can give chapter scholarships in the chapter's name directly from the chapter. And in some cases, we have money, or there's money on the foundation side that they still give a scholarship in the name of the chapter. So one of the things we changed on the foundation side is for our pink and white scholarship participants, so our ACA teams, instead of us keeping that money until they graduate, we now give them an annual educational award. So that was one of the things that after we met with tax council, they told us that we should stop doing that. And so going forward, we have changed that process. And then additional funds from the pink and white scholarship are made available for community-based scholarships that are competitive scholarships. So that money raised by the pink and white scholarship ball is not only just going to the teens. So that was a concerning part, and they wanted us to change that.
Madam Basilisk, you have a hand raised.
Okay, sorry, Angie.
I have two questions. I missed the fundraising part. You're saying that headquarters requires the foundation and the chapter to get approval for fundraisers?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, now I just want to hear that one again.
Now that was not, and that came out in October. In February, they were just saying the chapter had to go, but then in October, they said both.
Okay. And then my second question is, if we're gonna do program money, who picks the programs we do for it? And do the chapter get to vote on what programs we do to utilize for that money, or for
the program? Well, the program chairman, which is Sora Paulina, would present any chapter, any programs that, just like we always do, those all come, the proposal comes to the executive committee and it gets presented to the chapter. So it's not a vote, it's more of a FYI, but I mean, I guess unless someone had a major objection, but as long as it aligns with the target programs, I don't know why we would have any objection to those.
Well, my question really is there certain programs you're gonna go after in the foundation and certain programs you're gonna go after in the chapter? That's my real question. Or is some that you're looking at specifically to go after for certain things, or just it's a mix?
Well, the chapter is going to follow the international program. The foundation could support outside programs that are not Pi Tau Omega programs. So as a member of the foundation, if you're interested in that, you should pay attention to what's happening, because there could be a community member or somebody who requests funds for something they're doing in the community. And if it aligns with the mission of the foundation, then the foundation could support it. And it might not have anything to do with Pi Tau Omega or corporate program or international program. Does that answer your question? All right, I think it does, I guess.
Okay.
All right, Source, it is that the last slide, Sorzina?
Nope. There we go. Now we are in the value of the foundation.
Okay. Whew, y'all, I'm tired. Okay. All right.
This is Sir Carol's.
Sir Carol. Oh yeah, good. I can take a break.
Yes, you can.
As we have been discussing through most of the slides, we have indicated that the Pearls of Service Foundation generates additional sources of income from organizations and individuals to help. I'm sorry.
So,
okay,
Sorry, Carol, you need to unmute.
Oh, I've been on mute. Okay, thank you. I don't know how much you heard, but as we've been talking through this whole presentation, one of the things that has been an ongoing theme is the Pearls of Service Foundation generates additional sources of income from organizations and individuals to help increase the Python Mega Chapter program impact in the community. And on this slide are some of the examples of the things that we've done over the last 2 to 4 years. Additional examples of sponsorship. Last year, member-driven technology scholarship. That particular company gave us $15,000 and they want to partner again with us this year. Lawrence Tech University Presidential Scholarship. We were able to secure 3 of their presidential scholarships, where our scholarship committee, the foundation scholarship committee, was able to solicit and select the recipients of that scholarships and of those scholarships. We awarded 2 of those scholarships, and only one person decided to go to Lawrence Tech, and that person is in the 2nd year of receiving that scholarship. So that was that particular collaboration was worth $192,000 if we were able to secure all 3 students. For Direct, sponsored the HBCU scholarship in the amount of $2,500. And we also received the Oakland County COVID-19 grant to help deal with some of the problems that resulted from the pandemic. We took those dollars and we awarded 3 students laptops, because a lot of our students, even if they're on campus, they are taking classes from their dorm rooms or from their homes. And so we established 3 distant learner scholarships for computers. From an individual standpoint, the foundation will help administer memorial scholarships. And over the past 10 years, we have administered scholarships. Some are ongoing, like Sora Beverly Miller. I think she's on her 3rd student, where she provided a $1,000 scholarship to the student each year for 4 years. So that has been very helpful. And then we've had other scholarships, memorial scholarships, or when we have Ivy Beyond the Wall, sometimes their families they make a donation on behalf of their loved one. The Pink and White Scholarship Ball, this program started back in 2006. And since that time, we have raised over $350,000 for educational awards. Only those students that go to college and show proof of being enrolled in college can receive an educational award. And with as she mentioned, we're going to be transitioning that amount to educational savings bonds. And HBCU EAF donations, I already talked about that. And one of the ways, and the last one, is the Pearls of Service Foundation giving campaign that we hold in the fall. And from that, we have raised over $2,000 in member donation, because we really solicit donations from our Pearls of Service Foundation members. So all of these donations help us increase the impact in our communities, and with a special emphasis on the scholarships. But we also have the Skillman Grant, which was based on programs and delivering some of our education, youth related programs.
All right, so now we're really at the open period source. We had planned this to end at 7:30, but we knew we have additional time to just have open discussion or really a Q&A. So I think I see Sora Linda's hand is raised.
Yes, I wanted to ask Sora Carol to expound about the giving. I think it'd be a good opportunity to let people know some of the other ways that we have asked people to give, like with Amazon.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Okay. Yeah. Some of the things that we've done is that we have signed up the foundation to receive a percentage of sales. So if you use Amazon, you can sign up for Amazon Smiles and we get 0.5% on every dollar that you spend with Amazon. So we're able to bring in donations that way. We also have Facebook campaigns, even for some people have set them up for their birthday and they selected the Pearls of Service Foundation, and we get donations through that, through Facebook. And then what's the other way? I think those are Amazon Smile, Facebook, and our regular giving campaign. We also have on the website, we accept donations all year round, and anyone can make a donation by going to the website. We worked with Beverly Miller because she wanted to get additional community donations. So if you want to establish a scholarship and help raise funds for your scholarship, we will work with you and allow you to collect those donations through the foundation as we set them up. And then we work with you on establishing what criteria you would like for your scholarship. And you will also have the opportunity to participate in the screening of the scholarship applications for your particular scholarship. So there, we're always looking for ways to work with not only chapter members, but the community to expand the impact and help kids go to school, deliver different types of programs that are needed in our community.
Sora Sheila,
Yeah.
thank you, Sora Carol. Sora Sheila.
Good evening, Madam Basilisk and Soros. My question is, how often does the foundation receive grant requests from outside of Pi Tau Omega?
Zero.
And how do we market that?
We have not received any external grants outside of Pi Tau Omega chapter, and it's on our website. We have our program page. We explain what our what programs that we fund, and it's open for anyone to submit a grant. So it's more on our website and on our social media.
All right, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
And then we'll also be through our members, because our members, if you are participating in other organizations, you as a member of the Pearls of Service Foundation can submit a grant as well.
All right.
So Soros, I'll just
Thank
say,
you.
I was being kind of selfish, not selfish, but just protecting the interests of the chapter as a board member. As you know, we did that joint fundraiser, the popcorn fundraiser. So
Right.
when the discussion on the board came up with regard to how they were going to use and allocate some of the money, because it was a joint effort, so we kind of split it in 50-50. So some was going to scholarships and then some was going to go to programs. So I requested that they earmarked the portion for programs for it kind of be restricted for Pi Tau Omega, because we really helped to raise that money. So we wanted to make sure that's going to be kind of secured for our own program. So that money will not be given to like an outside entity. So that's just the kind of thing. But once you get more engaged, you'll learn and you'll see the kind of decisions and things that are being made to help our community, but also to make sure that we're supporting the chapter programs as well. So Soros, any other questions we want to, I'm glad we have 62 people on here. I hope this was helpful. I know that, there was a lot of noise around the foundations last year, and we were really just trying to get clarity. Spent, like I said, time over the summer meeting with legal counsel and trying to get some of the things that maybe weren't completely in order. But I would say for the most part, we were operating properly as separate entities. We need to clean up a few things, which we have done. And we really wanted to spend this time to really kind of update you on that. We are planning to do another webinar kind of on foundation financials. We also want you to use your phone and complete a survey, because we really are interested in understanding what other questions you might have about foundations and the chapter operations and that kind of stuff. So you can use your phone to scan, take a picture of that QR code. Zena's gotten really fancy on us. Or you can type in that, can you put that?
I will put that in the link, yes.
In the chat?
Yes, I can.
Okay. So Soros, I'm willing to stay on a few more minutes if there are other questions. I hope you felt like this was helpful, educational, which was the intention.
Sorry, Mary, this is our Linda again. Could we have that last slide up with the QR code? Because we want to take pictures so we can get going here.
Okay, so Zena,
Thank you.
can you put that back up?
Yes. Had to
Okay.
take it down to put the link. The link is also in the chat.
All right, so
feel
again,
free to copy that.
we want to be very clear and transparent. And I think there's a great opportunity for us to partner, continue to partner with the foundation. You guys have seen, the benefit that can be garnered from having a foundation. And we really should be maximizing that to the extent that we can. So
I believe there are hands raised, Madam Basler.
yep. So Jane.
Thank you, Sir Mary. In response to your comment, well, I have a question in regard to your comment about February the 1st being the second webinar related to this topic.
February 7th.
7th? Oh, 7th.
Yes.
Okay. Is that the one, is that going to be a review of this material, or is that the one that's going to get into the financials?
It's a review of the financials. It's a separate content.
Separate
And
content.
so
It'll be a different new information. So what we're going to do is we're going to take this recorded link and we will make it available for people if you want to go back and listen, or for people that missed this one. We will make this recording of this webinar today available, but the next webinar is going to be more focused around foundation financials, how the budgets and all of that.
Okay, thank you for the clarification.
I would like to add, the survey is giving sorors an opportunity to ask additional questions as well. So as you go and ponder what you've heard, or other sorors look at the recording, there may be additional questions. And there's an opportunity when you complete this survey to put in additional questions. And we'll try and have those answers ready for you in the next webinar.